3, 2, 1. Hey, what is happening, people? So in this tutorial, we're going to create this simple login form. And let's just really quickly go through what this login form will do. So we will have this logo up here, a background image. Then we will have the container for the form. Then we have the user as a label for the username, a input for the user name, a password label, then the input for the password, this checkbox, login button, and 2 labels down here for if you forgot your password and create a new account. Okay, if we will click on the placeholder background will change its color. If we click on the password, then the password will change its color. If we would click the checkbox, it will be checked. And also if we click the label, the checkbox will be checked. Now I will show you how we can do this. If we hover over the login button, it will change its background color. And if we click it, then it will change also its background color to green. We will also put the username to required and also the password to required. So the user cannot skip either the password or the username. He must type in both of these 2 input types. And if we click the login button, this would submit our login form to Google. So before we get into this tutorial, I would really much appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell in order for you to get notified every time I post a new video like this. Okay guys, this being said, let's jump into the tutorial. So I already created an empty folder and dropped it into my Visual Studio Code. So we will use Visual Studio Code for the code editor. And now let's create an index.html and also a style.css file. Now let's create the boilerplate. And we actually close this up. And we will name this login form. Now let's link up our CSS to our HTML. So we'll type in link, and for the href we'll type in style CSS. And also up here we will use the Font Awesome CDN. So go to bootstrapcdn.com/fontawesome/. And from here we're just going to copy this link. So for the HTML, just click on it and it will be copied to your clipboard. Then insert it in your HTML above your style link. Okay, this being saved, let's first of all open up our page using live server. So just right click on the document and open with live server. And this will open up our empty page. Okay, so let's get started. We will first of all create a form tag, and then for the action, we'll type in https://www.google.com. Now, for the method, so if you don't type in anything, it will generate a get method. So there are 2 types of method by submitting a form, a post and a get method. And we will talk about the difference between these 2 a bit later on. And for the target, we will choose blank. And what this does is when we open, so you can say if I submit my form right here, it opened it up in another page. So our initial page stays open. If you take out the target as blank, it will open it up in our initial page. And I will also give this form a class of login form. Okay, now staying within our form, we will now create a div with a class of user logo. And within this div, we'll just create an icon tag with a class of fa.fa-user. And let's open this up. So there's our icon tag right here. Now going outside our div, we'll now create an H1 and we just type in here login. Underneath our H1, we'll now create a label tag, and this would be for the name, and we'll also give this a class of user. And within the label tags, we'll just type in user name. Underneath the label tag, we'll now create an input tag, and this will be the type of text, and we'll also give this a placeholder of enter username. Now we could copy this to the label and the input tag, and this would be for the password. So the second label, we will leave the class as user. We will replace the username with password. And in the second input, we'll change the type to password. We will replace the placeholder with password for enter password. And now we will set both of the input tags as required. And what this does is it does not let the user skip these two input tags. So they are absolutely required in order for the form to be submitted. Now underneath our input tag with the type of password, we'll now create another div. And this time we will give this a class of checkbox container. And within this div, we create the input tag with the type of checkbox. And we will also give this the ID of checkbox. Underneath our input tag, we'll now create the anchor tag. We will leave the href opened, and within the anchor tag, we'll now create another label. And this would be for the checkbox. So just copy this. And between our two opening and closing label tags, we'll now type in remember me. Now outside our div with the class of checkbox, we'll now create another input tag. The type would be submit. This will create this submit button. And we will give this a value. So for now, the text within the submit button was submit. For the value, we will type in login, and now the text will change to login. Underneath our input tag, we'll now create another div with the class of more. And within this div, we'll create two label tags to say on the same page, and within them we'll create an href. Actually, I could just delete this and create an anchor tag with an href, and within this anchor tag we'll type in forgot your password. And let's just copy this and paste it in here, and this will be create a new account. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the HTML. Now let's jump into our CSS. And now we'll just make a quick basic reset for the entire page. So margin 0, padding 0, and this will set all the margins and all the padding to 0. So no matter which browser you open this, it will always be set to 0. And we will also put box sizing to border box. Now we need to create a folder within our folder. We'll call image, and I'm just going to drop this image in. And as always, you can download all of these files, so including the code, within the description below. Okay, now let's take our body tag and give it a height of 100 viewport heights. And now let's set the font family to sans serif. And now for the entire body, I will give this a background with a URL. Now we will go into our image folder and select the image. Now, in order for the image to be placed properly, we will first of all type in no repeat. So this is actually the shorthand for this. So no repeat center, then center again, slash cover. Now let's take our class of login form there we go, and start styling our form. We will limit the form to a width of 320 pixels and also a height of 520 pixels. Now let's give it a background color of RGBA, and I'll be using RGBA for the opacity, so 000 and the opacity 0.4. Now let's give this a border, a all-around border of 1 pixel, solid and black. You can already see this is where our form is living. Now let's give this, first of all let me position this. So let me position this in the middle of the page, and for this I'm going to go with a position absolute from the top 50%, from the left 50%. Now we will use a transform translate on both axes of -50% on X and -50% on the Y axis. This will center our form in the middle of the page. Okay, now let's give this a border, a box shadow of 0.05 pixels, 2 pixels, and the color black. Now also give this a bit of padding of 1 rem, and the entire color, so all text within this form should be white. Now in order to achieve that border at the top of the form that we had here, I'm just going to give the form a border to the top of 1 pixel, solid and white. Now we have our top border. Okay, now let's start styling this logo. So we created this div with a class of user logo. Now I'm just going to copy this within our CSS, target it, user logo. We'll give this a width of 100 pixels, a height of 100 pixels, will be square, then a background color red, a border radius of 50%. So this would be a circle then. Well, forgot the radius, so radius. And now in order to bring this up here and into the center, so like this, we'll first of all position this relative. Then we'll tell it that from the left, it should calculate the width of 200 pixels, so the width of the form, divided by 3.5. This centers our logo within a page. And in order to push it up, we'll just type in top minus 70 pixels. Now it's centered. Now let's grab the user logo class, and within this class we had this I tag. So let's increase first of all the font size of this to 5 rem. We'll position it absolute from the top 50% and from the left also 50%. And we'll also give this a transform translate on both axes, minus 50% on the X and minus 50% on the Y axis. And the last thing we need to do here is tell this to have a box sizing of border box. Let's give it a Z index of 1. Okay, now let's take our H1. So within the class of login form, we'll take the H1 and text align it to the center. We'll change the font size to 3 rem with a margin from the bottom so we can distance it. So margin bottom of 2 rem, so this will push it up and push the content actually down. And let's increase the letter spacing to 2 pixels. Now within our class of login form, let's take all the label tags and also all the input tags. And we will display them as block level elements. Now I also want them to have a width of 100% of the container. And let's give them a padding of 0.5 rem. Now let's take the class of user and let's increase its font size to 1.2 rem. So these 2 labels, and let's give them a font weight of 600. Next up, we will take the class of login form and we'll target the input tag with a type of text. And we could also take this and the type of password. So I want these two input tags, so the input tag with the type of text and the input type with the type of password. To have border, so the display of the border should be none. This will get rid of the borders. Then the background should be transparent. Now we'll give them a border to the bottom of 1 pixel solid black you can see these really small lines right here. And the color, actually the color is white because we already assigned it to an entire container. Now you can also target the placeholder. So let me just go back here. So this right here, by just typing in input, so from the input, the placeholder. And we give this a height of 50 pixels and a color, so the internal color should be light gray. And we can increase the letter spacing to 2 pixels. Now in order to achieve, so when we click in them, this is called that they are focused. And if we want to change everything within them when they are focused, we just need to take this tool, so within the login, the input text with a type of text, and we will give this the pseudocase of focus, and also for the password, when the password is focused, we'll change the background color to red and the letter spacing to 1 pixel. So let's take a look at this. If I click it in here, I'm changing the background color and the letter spacing. When I type it in here, the letter spacing is increased to 1 pixel. Now let's take this class of Checkbox. So we assigned this class Checkbox container for this checkbox input and for this read more label. So let's take this class of Checkbox and we'll give this a padding of top and bottom 5 rem and left and right 0. And also we'll change the color to white. Now within this class of Checkbox container, we'll now take the label tag and also the input tag, and we'll display them as inline. And let's change the color to a dark gray. Now in order to get rid of this line underneath of this, underneath our readme, we'll now take the class of Checkbox container and within this class the anchor tag, and we'll now type in text decoration none, and this will get rid of this underline right here. Next up, we will take care of this submit button. So within the class of login form, the input with the type of submit should have a background color of red, border none, this would take out its border, a border radius of 25 pixels, we'll change the color to white, We will increase the font size to 1.2 rem, letter spacing of 1 pixel, and a font weight of 500. And I actually forgot something here, so let's just really quickly go up. Where was it? Here. So displayed the labels as block, but we also need to display the input tags as block. And now they take up 100% of their container. Okay, now going back to our login form, to our submit button here. Now we'll take the submit button again. So within the class of login form, the input with the type of submit, and when we hover over it, we'll now change the background to a linear gradient. It should go to the right. Comma with an RGB of 41, 115, 158, and then another RGB of 175 for the red, 63 for the green, and 18 for the blue. So when we hover over it, you can see the color changing to a linear gradient from blue to orange. And we also want the cursor to be pointer. So we have this hover effect, the cursor should be pointer. In order for this to make it green, when we click on it, we'll now take the same tag again. And we use another class now, the active. So this means that when it's active, so when an action happens, then we want the background color to be this green yellow. And also the color of the text should change to black. So if we click on it, in order to get rid of this border right here, this is the outline, we'll just type in here, outline, none. So when I click on it, the outline disappears. Okay, last thing we need to take care of is this portion of the text. So the forgot your password and create a new account. And this is pretty easy. We just put them into this class of more. So we'll take this class of more, target it within our CSS, and let's give this a margin from the top. So push them down a bit of 1 rem. Let me deselect them. We'll text align them to the center. This will push the text to the center. And now let's grab onto this again. And now we'll target the anchor tags within them. And let's change the color of them to a dark gray. Let's increase the letter spacing to 1 pixel. And that's basically it. So let's try this. Okay, we have a little bit of problem here, but this is easily to fix. I will just increase, where do we have them? Oh, where did we have the checkbox? Here it is. Now, in order to fix this, I will just give them a width of 50 pixels. So if I click on this, the checkbox is checked, but also if I click on the label, the checkbox is checked. And this is happening because we give this label. Where do we have you? Where is you, my friend? Okay, so this label, it was for the checkbox. And because this has the ID of checkbox, if I click on the label, the checkbox is activated. So let's try this. Type in a username, type in a password. Oh, and actually I need to change this color, the placeholder color, where do we have it? To white. Input placeholder color white. Now let's try this again. Now wait. It was actually here. Okay, so let's type in a username, something. Let's type in a password. And if I click on log in, this should submit it to Google. If we want to change the page, so if we want to stay on the same page, as I said, we would just take out this target of blank, and if I submit this again, it will automatically go to Google without opening a new tab. So let's go back here. Okay guys, so that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell if you want to be informed whenever I post a new video. If you like to see another type of form or something like that, just leave a comment in the comment section below. And as I said, the entire code and the image, you can download it from the description below. So catch you next time. Bye bye.